So that last day was complete elation. I was in tears. I was laughing. I was having the time of my life because I was achieving my life goal of running across the country in record time. But ultimately, I don't think you can plan. It's something like that. With the run across the country, the transcon, you have to be so in it every day. You have to be so completely present and focused on what you're doing in the meantime, in that moment, that I know a lot of people, that including you, Joe, were saying, hey, you know what, you might have some dark days ahead after
Mhm.
you're done this. Either you're successful or unsuccessful, but
Right,
you might have some dark days. And I honestly couldn't even go there. It
right.
was almost like, hey, what are you going to have for dinner next week? I don't know. I need to cook dinner for this week. And so I had no idea. And in fact, I didn't even allow
There's a
myself to
lot
go
more
there of
things that are
like,
a lot,
okay,
heck of a
what
lot
is life
harder
going to look
to do in
like
this world
starting day
than
one
run.
after I stopped this
This is the thing
67-day
that we
run
all do
across the
for
country?
enjoyment.
So I had no idea. I
Mm,
honestly had no idea. But I do know that, Joe, like the next many days, the next many weeks, they weren't really all that weird. It was this elation, this great feeling that you did something, but yet you still look in the mirror and you're still insecure. And okay, well, that's not changed.
right.
But I think that ultimately, Joe, like sitting down and writing this book, starting about 6 or 8 weeks following the run, was kind of my glowing light. It was kind of my coming out of the darkness, just even for a short period of time, in order to maybe do something creative or storytell or tie the strings up and connect the dots between how you were feeling and really what kind of happened. I think the
Yeah.
book kind of saved me.
Oh, for sure. And the reason I started here, for everyone listening, is not that we're not interested in the run, because just to recap, it was 67 days, 67 miles a day across the second largest continent in the world, breaking a record that had been in place for many, many years.
Mhm.
But part of what I was sort of curious about is, when you read the book, you realize that there are a couple of times where you probably look at it and you cringe yourself. You're like, oh my God, I wasn't that nice to my brother
Yeah,
because I was feeling like, so there's this after effect, of course, but then there's
right.
this reflection on, if I'm going to perform at this level, I'm going to create a bunch of strain in every element, right? Myself
Yeah.
and on them. Like, did that feel as you were looking at some of that?
Yeah, looking back at the strain that I caused, not only unto myself, because hey, let's face it, I ran across, I don't know, 7/8 of the country with a broken foot. So that's
Right.
going to come back to haunt me later on. So there was, physical harm and psychological harm to myself, but I was also away from my kids for
Yep.
the better part of 2.5 months. There was strain there. They
Yep.
missed their dad. I missed them. Crew members out there, mostly including my brother. He came on in Ottawa and then left in Thunder Bay. And that was the longest, kind of hardest section of the cross Canada run. And I've always thought that, my brother he's always been there for me. Like he's my guy. And I want him out there for the hardest section. But I didn't even think that, we would revert back to when I was 7 and he was 9 years old and we were fighting over the basketball or mom and dad's attention, or that it's ridiculous that I want this much avocado in that sandwich or whatever. It was absolutely ridiculous. There were things that we were fighting about.
Mm.
And there's been real strain in those relationships. But I kind of wanted to write the book like completely honestly. I wanted to be completely honest because I think that's kind of missing. And sometimes in these books